Good morning, everyone, and welcome to my podcast. My name is Lynette. Today we're going to talk about why we worry and how to let go. I think the biggest worry that we all have is looking ahead into the future. But I want to back up and say sometimes things don't go exactly like we planned, because it's to take us on a journey that we need to be on to land where we're supposed to land. And again, I'm going to use my health as an example. There was somebody who I'm very close with that we were just kind of drifting apart. And then when I got sick, they had to drive me to the doctor because I quit driving. And it brought us closer and closer. In my opinion, it made him a captive audience. And now that so many years have gone by and I've gone through this, I look back and I think, if this hadn't happened in my health, where would this relationship be? Because it was really drifting apart. So actually, getting sick, you would think was a dark cloud, and believe me, it felt like that at times. But looking back, I don't think we would be as strong as we are if I hadn't gone through this. Because the role that they had to play and the role I played drew us closer and closer together. You know, they say every cloud has a silver lining, and I think life is made up of that. So I don't think that we can worry about our outcome, because no matter what it looks like, no matter what is going on, it's to bring us right where we're supposed to be. I think us going through these offshoots of journeys that we certainly would not have chosen is God's way of redirecting us and getting us back on track. I'm not saying that He put these things on us, but they can be used for good. They can be used to get you where you need to be. They can be used for healing. But the best way to combat worry is to always stay in the present moment, because in the present moment, you're just living. The past is already gone. You can't control the future. Yes, you have an idea of the goals that you're setting and the way you want to go. But you always have to be open to the fact that those plans may deviate. First and foremost is to know that you're not alone, no matter what you're going through. No matter what you're going through, somebody else has gone through it. It may not be at the same degree, but we are all experiencing the same things. Maybe our stories are different, but we're not alone. I remember hearing in the past, as a matter of fact, I still hear people do this, that old saying of, don't air your dirty laundry, or you never know what goes on behind closed doors. Those old cliches people used to put a smile on their face and always act like everything was okay. They weren't doing themselves a favor, and they certainly weren't doing the fellow man a favor, because it's good and it's healthy to be able to relate to people who have gone through a similar situation. We all go through things, no matter who it is. It's funny because just before I made this podcast, I was on a video class regarding podcasts, and I know I've mentioned to you before about, if you have any questions, just go to the fan mail link. You can leave a voice message or a text message. But I was kind of avoiding doing that because I hear so many people talk about haters. And to be honest with you, I did not want to read anything negative. I try to stay in a very positive mindset. But it dawned on me that, yes, sadly, there are people that are haters. I don't know why. But what I do, if there's something that I don't want to read or listen to, I just simply click it off. Soon as you start to see something negative, just click it off. And I think that's important to do in your mind, because I know when I listen to something extremely dark or negative, I'll be laying in bed and that's when I start to think about it. And that's when I don't want to think about it. So it's all part of surrounding yourself with positivity. And I think the people that are haters or try to put you in a negative position, they have some sort of agenda going on. But honestly, we don't have time for that. The majority of people are good, and I think the ones that exercise the activity of making somebody else feel bad has something going on in their own life. But that's for them to work out. That's not for us to be bothered with. You know, you can lay in bed and you can worry about 1,001 things, and it doesn't do any good. It doesn't solve anything. One thing I've experienced with this is really interesting. I'm hoping that you don't have to go through the same journey that I went through, so I'll just share it with you. Is before I used to feel like I had to control everything, be hands-on, take care of everything, until I could no longer do that. And guess what? It worked out anyway. And at first I thought it was just a fluke, but then it's happened time and time again. And I thought, oh, this is how the calmer half lives. They just let things work out. Because when you spend your life, your one life, worrying, you're taking away that 30 seconds, 3 hours, week, day, month, whatever it is, that you could be filled with joy. And if your concern is to worry about other people, then you ask God to keep His hand over them, hedge of protection around them. And if you still worry, it means you're not having faith. It means you've taken it back. So you're filling your own head with catastrophic outcomes. Now, we'll go back to what we talked about a few episodes ago, and that is our minds, our brains are like vision boards. Well, I don't know if you made a vision board. I certainly have. It's a board where you put down your goals, your dreams, your desires, new car, new house, new job, whatever it is that's on your mind, and you put it down in a positive way. And you just let that board sit there. It goes out into the universe. Our brains are very much the same way. So in your vision board, would you put a catastrophic outcome? No, you put a positive outcome. That's how your brain is. Your brain is your walking, living vision board. So you always want to think about and dwell on the positive outcome. Chances are the negative portion you're thinking about is never going to happen. So you want to develop, and this is the healthiest part of being the best version of yourself, and that is living in the present moment. What a gift to be able to live in the present moment. And if you're not doing that right now, I would suggest strongly that you work on that. It'll open a whole new world for you. Like I said earlier, we are all going through things, different degrees at different times. They are to teach us, to guide our journey. So letting go enough to not stifle people you care about, but to let them learn certain lessons that life has to offer. Pray for their protection. So when they go through it with grace, that they learn a lesson and it's not too harsh. But we're all going to learn lessons. We are all going through things. And that's what makes us who we are today. If you look back on your life, you can see a pattern. You can think of the highlights that brought you to where you are today. But remain in prayer about every situation. and walk in that faith. You don't want to pray it and then take it back. There's certain tools that'll help you become a more positive person. And that is letting your mind go to that place and then writing underneath it what a positive outcome would look like. And pretty soon your mind will start flipping to that itself. In addition to that is training your brain to do the same thing. It's a living, walking embodiment of writing it on paper, only it's in your own head. And pretty soon your own brain will start to do that. It's so interesting. Our brains are relatively easy to train. The what ifs, but what if this, but what if that? In fact, I was having a conversation with someone the other day and they said something and I replied, smoothed it all out. There was no other discussion. It was on a good note. And they said, but what if? I said, oh my gosh, I can't deal with what ifs. You could what if something all day long. You cannot deal with the what ifs because they're not real. Just as the perceived negative outcomes are not real, none of that is real. In fact, your chances of having a positive outcome are much, much, much higher than a negative outcome. Think about the what ifs. What if it all turned out wonderful? What if you got the job? What if this? What if that? I mean, we have the choice of how to look at things. That has become more apparent lately than ever, is the choices we have in our own life. We can actually think about something. Nothing will change in the material world, but just change our thoughts. And everything about the situation changes. Have you ever been upset with someone and then you're talking to a friend about it and they'll say, well, maybe they were feeling this way or that way, and that's why they acted that way. And it's a way that you never thought of, but it changed everything about how you were feeling. It is very, very interesting, and I can't stress this strongly enough, about our world can look like how we want it to look. Just by our thoughts, just how we address things and look at things and think about things. And you'll know if you're looking at it in a negative way and what you need to work on. But we've talked episode after episode about becoming your true self. And that's not only in the physical, by taking care of yourself. And by the way, when I talk about taking care of yourself, eating right, I'm all for enjoying life and having things that you enjoy. But really and truly, for the most part, and this is me, and I know everybody is different, but when I have sugar, I don't feel like I think as clearly as I do. And I'm not going to stop having sugar. I'm not going to give that up. But what I am going to do is have it in balance. And I think having our lives in balance is important for all of us. Back to taking care of ourselves. Yes, in the physical. We all know what we need to do to take care of ourselves physically. And of course, you want to be your best. And we talked about being your best for you. But there's also the internal part, the way you view things. And if you are consistently falling into depression, perhaps your worldview might be a little different. Don't get me wrong, I understand there's chemistry, and that can be a problem as well. But I'm talking about, in general, if you're looking at things in the wrong way, and you need to tweak or make an adjustment in how you view the world or your world. Because the difference between happiness and unhappiness is all in our heads, basically. I know there's catastrophic situations out there. I get that. But we're not talking about that. We're just talking about the general everyday life, making the most of it and being happy in it and living in the present moment. That is really, really key. That is really, really important, is living in the present moment. And if you catch yourself fast forwarding or dwelling on something that already happened, reel yourself back in, get back to the present moment. And remember, no matter what you're going through, everybody has gone through or is going through something. That's what makes us who we are. So we can take those lessons and use them for good, or we can get angry and bitter about them because we don't think life has gone the way we wanted it to. But sometimes if you look at the big picture, the outcome, the scenario is better than you ever imagined. You might think it wasn't a good outcome. You might look at it in a negative way. But if you look at the broader picture, oftentimes it took one scenario to bring you to where you are right now. And it's a not knowing. This is another example I'm going to give you. 2 weeks ago, my caregiver got upset and she told me I better find someone else, blah, blah, blah. And for a while there, I thought, oh no, what am I going to do? One thing led to the other, and that caregiver ended up staying. But I found someone in addition also. And this lady loves to clean and cook. And I'm so thrilled about that. So just 2 weeks ago, it was like doom and gloom. I was thinking, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? Where am I going to go? And boom, just like that. Just like that, things turned around and became better than they were before. And as I'm talking to you, when I use the term just like that, there's a country singer, you probably have all heard of her, named Ella Langley. And she came out with a new song. I think it is called Just Like That. I'm not sure. But the lyrics are just like that, and I'm loving life again. I kind of sing that to myself sometimes because we can all make little tweaks, little adjustments in our life. And just like that, we're loving life again. With that being said, I wish you all a wonderful week, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.